Hi, this is New Time on Silkway TV channel. We introduce you with the most visible news and important events that happened throughout this week in Kazakhstan and Central Asia. More details on politics, economy, social and cultural life with opinions from the most recognizable experts of Kazakhstan and the world. I'm Nurbek Machani and this is what you will see today. Kazakhstan's President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev paid state visit to Moscow. Both countries have elevated relations to a comprehensive strategic partnership. Could Kazakhstan become the next global hotspot for mining investment? The AIFC report states that country holds vast untapped reserves of critical minerals essential for the global development. A Kazakh made-up Alim is surpassing global language learning giants across Central Asia. But how did a small 10-member team create such a competitive product entirely on their own funds? Kazakhstan and Russia are officially stepping up to a comprehensive strategic partnership. Presidents Kassym-Jomart Tokayev and Vladimir Putin signed the corresponding declaration. During a two-day state visit to Moscow, the leaders discussed trade growth, infrastructure and technology projects, and prospects for strategic cooperation. The countries agreed to raise bilateral trade to $30 billion. More on the outcomes of the visit in Yergali Ramazanol's report.
A symbolic moment in the skies. Kazakhstan's presidential aircraft was escorted by Su-35 fighter jets as soon as it entered Russian airspace, accompanying President Tokayev's flight all the way to Moscow's Vnukovo airport. A warm welcome awaited the head of our state in the Russian capital, visible in the atmosphere at the airport and across the city. MGIMO University students welcomed Kassym-Jomart Tokayev with enthusiasm, speaking in Kazakh and sharing their admiration for our culture. After that, President Tokayev proceeded to the Kremlin. Protocol is one thing, but in the true spirit of neighborly relations, the leaders of Kazakhstan and Russia spent 2.5 hours in an informal conversation before the start of the official talks.
As for bilateral cooperation, it is characterized by a strategic partnership and allied relations. There is not a single area where we do not interact or work together. There is no serious problem between our countries. If any arise, which is natural, they are resolved through the effort of our head of state and, of course, our governments. I have some thoughts and observations that I would be very glad to share with you.
Наблюдения, с которыми я хотел бы с большим удовольствием поделиться с вами. Прежде всего, хочу вас поблагодарить за то, что вы нашли время и приехали.
First of all, I want to thank you for taking the time to come as we agreed on a state visit. I am truly pleased about this. Of course, we are in a constant contact, but such formal occasions also matter in intergovernmental relations. I believe we will conclude the current year on a very positive note and outline plans for the near future as well as for the longer-term perspective.
Планы на ближайшее будущее и на более отдаленную среднесрочную перспективу.
The second day of the state visit began with President Tokayev laying flowers at the tomb of the unknown soldier in the Alexander Garden to honor the memory of those who gave their lives in war. And rightfully so, Kazakhstan made a remarkable contribution to the great victory. More than 1.2 million of our compatriots went to the front, and about half of them never came back. Over 500 Kazakhstanis were awarded the title of Hero of the Soviet Union. Kassym-Jomart Tokayev was greeted with full honors. The official welcoming ceremony took place in the Grand Kremlin Palace's St. George's Hall. During the bilateral talks, Kassym-Jomart Tokayev thanked Vladimir Putin for the warm reception, noting the meticulous preparation and attention to every detail. Our president described his state visit as the key event of the year, emphasizing that the strategic partnership and allied relations between Kazakhstan and Russia are more than diplomatic phrasing. They reflect genuine, multifaceted cooperation. From nuclear energy and education to trade, our nations continue to deepen collaboration across all areas.
Мы поставили задачу довести
We have set a goal to increase our trade turnover to $30 billion, and I believe this is a very achievable target. We will reach it in the near future. I would like to particularly highlight our cooperation with the Russian Federation in the field of nuclear energy. We're close to signing several important agreements that will pave the way for the construction of nuclear power plant in partnership with Rosatom. This is truly a milestone event, a breakthrough project that goes beyond simply building a power plant. It is about creating an entirely new era of expertise and technological capability.
Новой сферы компетенции.
The Russian leader in turn highlighted the scale and importance of the Kazakh delegation visiting Moscow, which included members of the government and leading business representatives. Vladimir Putin emphasized the steady and consistent development of relations between our countries.
Казахстан и Россия – ближайшие партнеры, друзья и надежные союзники друг для друга. Это подтверждается конкретными делами.
Kazakhstan and Russia are close partners, friends, and reliable allies to one another, and this is confirmed by concrete results. Russia remains one of Kazakhstan's leading trade and economic partners and ranked first in terms of investment. Last year, our trade turnover exceeded $27 billion, and in the first 9 months of this year alone, it has already reached $20 billion. A large number of Russian companies are successfully operating in Kazakhstan, while Kazakh businesses are actively expanding their presence in Russia. A memorandum prepared following today's visit demonstrates that we are taking our relations to an even higher interstate level, a development that cannot but please us. We're fully committed to further strengthening our partnership with Kazakhstan.
Он говорит о том, что мы выводим наши отношения на еще более высокий межгосударственный уровень. Нас это не может не радовать. Мы всячески стремимся к дальнейшему развитию отношений с Казахстаном.
The extended discussions continued via video link with the city of Oral as part of the 21st Kazakhstan-Russia Inter-Regional Cooperation Forum. This year's focus was on vocational professions as a key driver of economic growth. President Tokayev reminded that 2025 has been declared the year of vocational professions in Kazakhstan, emphasizing the vital role of skilled workers, particularly in major infrastructure projects such as the construction of the country's first nuclear power plant. The already close cooperation between Kazakhstan and Russia has reached a new level. The two sides signed a declaration of comprehensive strategic partnership. Kassym-Jomart Tokayev called Russia's Kazakhstan key trade and investment partner. The numbers speak for themselves. Russian investments in Kazakhstan have surpassed $27 billion, including a record $4 billion last year alone. More than 20,000 joint companies are operating in our country today, and 175 major projects are currently underway. Beyond boosting trade, Kazakhstan and Russia have agreed to deepen cooperation across multiple strategic areas. The two countries plan to expand the potential of transport corridors, continue collaboration on the promising Trans-Altai Dialogue Initiative, and strengthen partnerships in the production, transport, and supply of oil, petroleum products, coal, and electricity. Efforts will also focus on improving gas supply to Kazakhstan's regions bordering Russia, advancing cooperation in space exploration, nuclear energy, the development of special economic zones, and creative industries. In a cultural milestone, Kazakhstan will open an information and cultural center in Moscow. Kassym-Jomart Tokayev also extended an invitation to Vladimir Putin for a reciprocal state visit to Kazakhstan next year. Yergali Ramazanula, New Time.
President Tokayev's visit to Russia underscored Kazakhstan's growing role as a mediator between Moscow, Beijing and Washington, said political expert Maxim Shevchenko to Silkway TV channel. He said the country is moving beyond traditional resource ties toward industrial cooperation, nuclear and energy partnerships, and a broader strategic presence at the heart of Eurasia. In scale and symbolism, President Tokayev's visit sent a clear message about Kazakhstan's strategic role in Eurasia, Shevchenko added, noting that the trip reflects not only diplomatic weight, but also rising influence in shaping regional economic and security dynamics.
Токаев играет роль совершенно уникальную в современном мире, который он взял на себя, и никто, кроме него, главное, это не может эту роль играть, потому что президент...
Tokayev plays a truly unique role in today's world, a role he has assured and one that critically no one can else fulfill. The president of Kazakhstan brings together in one person the ability to speak to China in Chinese, to Trump in English, and carries the background of having been one of the leaders of major 20th century collective security institution, the United Nations. In my view, this is precisely what explains the grandeur of the reception. It reflects deep respect for the president of Kazakhstan and further underscores his stature as a top-tier negotiator and a potential peacemaker. In other words, the symbolism was intentional. It highlighted Tokayev's status. And I think this process could elevate Kazakhstan to an entirely new level of strategic attention, as the country is genuinely acting as a middle power and as a global negotiator.
Токаева, и я думаю, что вот этот процесс, он может вывести Казахстан на совсем иной уровень стратегического вообще внимания к Казахстану. Казахстан по-настоящему выполняет роль срединной державы и роль такого глобального переговорщика.
On the occasion of President Tokayev's state visit to Moscow, a Russian newspaper published his article. In it, the Kazakh president highlighted that relations between Kazakhstan and Russia rest on shared values, culture, and mutual respect, a guiding star amid global uncertainty. In addition, President Tokayev pointed to the strong cooperation in trade, energy, and culture, noting that transport and logistics remain key priorities, with both countries developing the North-South corridor and other major projects.
Given the size and geographic position of Kazakhstan and Russia, the further development of transit routes and related infrastructure is great of importance for ensuring sustainable transport connectivity across the entire Eurasian continent. To achieve this goal, our countries are working to expand the capacity of the Western Europe-Western China highway corridor and to modernize 30 road checkpoints along the Kazakhstan-Russia border.
Also, earlier this week, First Deputy Prime Minister of Kazakhstan, Roman Skляr, held talks with his Russian counterpart, Denis Manturov, who arrived in Kazakhstan on a working visit. The sides discussed various aspects of bilateral trade and economic cooperation, with particular emphasis on industrial collaboration and joint projects in key sectors, including automotive manufacturing, railway engineering, and metallurgy. In turn, Roman Skляr emphasized Kazakhstan's interest in further expanding mutually beneficial cooperation with Russia, focused on industrial collaboration, technological development, and new business opportunities for both countries. Following the talks, both sides expressed their readiness to continue active work on developing partnerships and implementing joint initiatives in the industrial sector. The Akorda press service has published the head of state's week ahead, and it's a busy one on the diplomatic front. President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev set off on a state visit to Uzbekistan at the invitation of President Shavkat Mirziyoyev. In Tashkent, the two presidents will hold private one-on-one talks and will convene a session of the Supreme Interstate Council to advance bilateral and regional cooperation. This weekend, President Tokayev will also remain in Tashkent to participate in the 7th consultative meeting of the heads of state of Central Asia and Azerbaijan, a gathering that officials say is expected to deepen economic ties, improve connectivity across the region, and coordinate efforts on security and infrastructure projects. Central Asia has been particularly dynamic this week, from financial technology breakthroughs and new transport corridors to deeper regional integration and expanding global partnerships. Across the region, governments are accelerating efforts to attract investment, digitize their economies, and strengthen connectivity with key partners, from Russia and China to the United States and the broader Eurasian market. In our Central Asia in Focus section, Ozhet Shegerbayev takes a closer look at how Almaty, Tashkent, and other regional hubs are emerging as key drivers of innovation, logistics, and sustainable growth amid an increasingly interconnected global landscape.
This week, Almaty became a regional hub for discussing the development of fintech technologies in Central Asia. The Central Asia Fintech Summit featured in-depth discussions on banking, innovation, financial technologies, the impact of artificial intelligence on the industry, and the introduction of digital currencies. The forum brought together leading representatives from the banking sector, government agencies, fintech companies, and international experts to discuss strategies for financial system innovation, present ready-made solutions, case studies, and analytical insights. In total, the event gathered around 5,000 participants, including 2,000 online attendees and 120 industry experts. Among the participants were the representatives of the governmental agency, state regulators, and development institutions, including senior officials from Agency for Regulation and Development of Financial Market, the Ministry of AI and Digital Development, the National Payment Corporation, and National Bank of Republic of Kazakhstan, as well as the top managers from Visa, MasterCard, major banks, fintech companies, and startups. At the same time, Tashkent hosted the International Forum on Multimodal Transportation, organized by the Alliance of Logistics Centers and Freight Forwarders in cooperation with the Ministry of Transport of Uzbekistan and the Organization of Turkic States. The forum brought together more than 400 participants, including representatives of public and private sectors, as well as leading transport and logistics companies, and enterprises from the Turkic countries and beyond. One of the key statements came from Uzbekistan's Minister of Transport, Mr. Ilkhoy Mahamov, who announced plans to make the China-Kyrgyzstan-Uzbekistan Railway the shortest corridor connecting Central Asia and South Asia. He also emphasized that the Trans-Afghan Railway would provide Uzbekistan and the entire Central Asian region with direct access to the Indian Ocean through Pakistan's ports. In the future, these two routes are expected to become integral components of the Trans-Caspian International Transport Corridor, forming a continuous multimodal corridor from China to Europe. And as we previously noted during this program, Central Asia is increasingly emerging as a global Eurasian crossroads, facilitating cargo transportation between East and West, while simultaneously developing the new routes along the North-South axis. And at the same time, Russia announced plans to double the capacity of 10 automobile border checkpoints with Kazakhstan by 2030, according to the Russian Ministry of Transport. The modernization plan includes 10 checkpoints, whose combined throughput is expected to exceed 3.5 million trucks per year after the reconstruction. Meanwhile, Kazakhstan has already begun operating 3 and plans to modernize 4 additional checkpoints on the Russian border. Freight transportation in Kazakhstan, in general, grew by 8.1% in the first 10 months of this year, reaching around 955 million tons. And according to the Bureau of National Statistics of Kazakhstan, the highest growth was recorded in maritime transport, plus 33.5%, and pipeline transportation, plus 15.6%. Railways handled around 380 million tons, road transport 288.5 million tons, inland waterways around 200,000 tons, and the last one is the air freight, around 24,000 tons. And another significant development in Central Asia's transit logistics was the arrival of 62 40-foot containers carrying paper, sulfate pulp, and other paper products from Russia to Iran. The freight train passed through Kazakhstan and Turkmenistan along the Bolashak-Bereket-Gorgan railway line, which was opened in 2014 and serves as the eastern branch of the North-South transport corridor. A major boost to this route came with the opening of the Aprin multimodal hub near the Tigran in May of this year. The entire journey took approximately 12 days, and President Tokayev already emphasized several times the necessity of the development of this transport route. Overall, this and other developments in Central Asian logistics demonstrate that the region is becoming an increasingly important link in Eurasia's transport and transit network. President of Uzbekistan, Mr. Shavkat Mirziyoyev, has signed a decree establishing the US-Uzbek Business Council and Investment. The approval of Council members and the regulation of its activities from Uzbek side will be overseen by Saida Mirziyoyeva, head of the presidential administration of Uzbekistan, while on the American side, coordination will be carried out by the US President's representative. Among the key priorities of this Council are continuing negotiations on mutual tariff reductions, establishing a special investment fund to mobilize additional investments in Uzbekistan, and developing proposals for diversifying the country's investment portfolio, including portions of the central bank's foreign exchange reserves and other assets. It's also noteworthy to note that prior to the visit to the USA, President of Uzbekistan signed a decree which allowed US citizens to enter Uzbekistan visa-free up to 30 days starting from the January next year.
Kazakhstan is emerging as a new hotspot for global mining investments. A new analytical report released by the Astana International Financial Center highlights the country's vast and untapped geological potential and its reserves of critical minerals such as copper, uranium, and rare earth elements, all vital for the global energy transition. The mining sector already contributes over 12% to Kazakhstan's GDP, yet nearly two-thirds of the country's territory remains underexplored, offering one of the world's largest frontiers for new discoveries. The report also points out that to unlock this potential, Kazakhstan needs to strengthen its exploration ecosystem and align its regulatory environment with leading mining jurisdictions.
Well, when we look at different mining jurisdictions such as Canada, Australia, what stands out that those countries very specifically focus and put it on an important stage that treat exploration as a strategic priority, supported by robust junior mining sector and transparent data. For Kazakhstan to compete effectively, it should catalyze the exploration ecosystem, maintain full data accessibility, which, in other words, keep the same progress. Well, ultimate goal is to channel these initiatives into value-add production, transforming materials to product, therefore bringing and capturing maximum of economic benefit.
Kazakhstan is now among the world leaders in aviation safety, achieving 95.7% compliance with international standards. The International Civil Aviation Organization conducted a full audit in Kazakhstan this year from August 13th to September 15th. For context, the global average is 72%, and Europe scored around 88%. Kazakhstan also outperformed its regional neighbors. Azerbaijan scored 74.7%, while Uzbekistan and Kyrgyzstan achieved above 85%. And Russia showed strong result with 94.1%. It also approaches the level of top-performing countries which scored above 94%, such as Qatar, UAE, and Saudi Arabia. Previously, Kazakhstan's score was 83%, meaning the country improved by nearly 13 points. Officials say this reflects updated aviation regulation, better training for personnel, and stronger safety oversight at airports. This high rating confirms that Kazakhstan's airports meet the highest safety standards and strengthens trust from international airlines, paving the way for potential direct flights to the United States. A Kazakh app is outperforming global language learning giants across Central Asia. The project, called Alim, and it was created by a small team of 10 enthusiasts from Kazakhstan, entirely on their own funds. Using artificial intelligence, the app helps users master English through a 4-in-1 method: personalized lessons, speaking and writing practice, and smart flashcards. In just 4 days, Alim gained over 100,000 downloads, and what's more, it's completely free. No subscriptions, no locked lessons. The team says their mission is simple: to make quality education accessible to everyone, regardless of where they live. Before developing the app, the creators focused on producing English textbooks, but they quickly realized printed materials became outdated almost instantly. That's when they decided to move beyond books.
Doing the textbooks, like we have to create a textbook for every single person in the world individually. Like it's impossible. And we have to update them daily or weekly. It's impossible. So we were like, why don't we just create a system where every student can build a textbook, the learning journey of their own? And we decided to go global, build an IT system, an app. We're top 1 in charts in Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and like a bunch of other different countries. We surpassed Duolingo. We're raising millions of dollars now. We're in process of negotiating big deals with American venture funds. So yeah, we're going global. We're working on our mission.
That's it for today. All the main news about Kazakhstan and Central Asia you can find here. More special projects about our country you can also watch on Silkway TV channel. So stay tuned and see you next week.